There's a piece of legislation right now sitting in the North Carolina House of Representatives known as House Bill 158. And according to a recent attack ad by a Democrat in the North Carolina State House, this piece of legislation would give the authority to the citizens to use deadly force to protect the life of a fetus. Meaning an abortion doctor, an abortion nurse, a woman taking Plan B, they would legally be allowed to be killed by any random citizen if this piece of legislation were to become law. Now, before I read the text of this bill, it is important to know that this bill was actually drafted last year. It has been sitting in committee ever since, and it's not expected to actually pass in its current form. But here is what it says. Any person who willfully seeks to destroy the life of another person by any means at any stage of life or succeeds in doing so shall be held accountable for attempted murder or for first-degree murder, respectively. Any person has the right to defend his or her own life or the life of another person, even by the use of deadly force if necessary, from willful destruction by another person. And what's so dangerous about this is that it extends that personhood to a fetus. Now, I don't know, because I have not seen the full text of the bill, at what point that clump of cells in a woman's body gets that personhood. You know, it could be immediately upon fertilization of an egg. It could be 15 weeks down the road. It's not exactly clear in what I've read so far when the personhood begins. But again, this legislation says that if anybody's trying to take the life of another person, and we've just called a fetus a person, you can kill them. We're so pro-life here in North Carolina that we'll kill you to prove it. That's what this piece of legislation is telling the rest of the country. Now, North Carolina is in fact a purple state, right? A true to form purple state. However, even if this piece of legislation in its current form does not get signed into law, there are plenty of other red states out there that don't have to worry about Democrats that they could pass something similar to this. Because this is what we see happen all the time. It's what we've been watching for the last year and a half. It's what author David Pepper calls the laboratory of autocracy. That's what we're seeing in state and state and state all across the country. One state moves forward, passes extreme legislation, waits to see if it's going to work, and then, if it does, other states immediately follow suit, right? We saw that with the abortion bans. We saw that with the banning of critical race theory from textbooks that it wasn't even in. We've seen it with transgender athlete bans. We've seen it with all of these other pieces of legislation that we have all talked about relentlessly for the last 18 months. One state tries it. When they have success, all the other states do it as well. This piece of legislation would be no exception. If it fails in the North Carolina House of Representatives, I have no doubt that a different state, a more red state, is going to take it up, and they will pass it. Because this is the country that we live in today, where we care so much about an unborn clump of cells that we will kill you to prove how much we love that. Of course, once the child's born, you're on your own. We're not going to give you health care. We're not going to give you parental leave. We're not going to give you any of the tools necessary to take care of the child that we're forcing you to have. Just know that if you don't want it, we will kill you. That is the message from today's Republican Party.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.